Although I live in the country, I wouldn't say that I'm limited to country experiences. I've lived extensively overseas, travelled every year as an adult that I can remember. Try to be in touch with creative fields and seek inspiration from, music and art and design and, just culture in general, I suppose, and react the way I know how to that influence and inspiration. Hello, I'm Dan Hunter and we're here at Brae. It's a small family restaurant in southwestern Victoria in Australia. We're about an hour and a half from Melbourne. We're in a place known as the Otways, and this is the Otway hinterland. We're positioned in a place of agriculture, surrounded by farms. What makes it a little different to some other restaurants is it's a 20-acre working organic farm, growing the vast majority of plants, vegetables, fruit, grains that appear on the menus here at Brae. We have a large vegetable garden and a dedicated space of 10 acres where we grow wheat, rye, barley, various grains to be used for pastry and bread, to brew beers, to make spirits, ferments, and that's the story of Brae. It cooks from its place, it cooks from this farm. I think when Jo, the head gardener, started here, she commented to me that an average market gardener that grows for market in any season might grow around 40 crops. And at Brae, most seasons we grow somewhere between 160 and 180 crops at any one time. But one of the key dishes at this restaurant in the last couple of years, as we've really ramped up the production and the agricultural side of things of what we do, it's really a simple dish. And we just call it Brae Farm Vegetable Garden. Each day, we take a selection of the very best things available on the day, harvested by the team, and then prepared in various ways, fresh, raw, finely sliced, caramelised, roasted, blanched, pickled, fermented. It's served alongside. It's just a source of plants of the moment. It gets some body with some yogurt, some olive oil. It can be served both hot and cold depending on the day. Then it's finished with a spray, like a perfume, that we spray at the table, which is a combination of aromatic plants, flowers, infused into a water-based aromatic spray, which is just perfumed at the dish to really just give the smell of the day, Obviously, throughout the year, this is always evolving and changing, and at this time of year, which is summer, it's probably the most colourful and most diverse. Now, Brae's not the first restaurant to serve a vegetable dish. Obviously, Michel Brae very famous for doing so. It's almost logical if you have an opportunity to serve dishes which best represent, your big picture, that you do so. I think if you eat this dish at Brae, it tells the story of who we are. I've been cooking for 30 years. I got into cooking, to be honest, as a way to save money to travel, to get out of Australia and see the world. And after a couple of years of being inside kitchens, I really enjoyed the camaraderie and the varying personalities that exist in restaurant businesses. And over time I've found that I'm able to best make use of my creative spirit through the means of cooking and serving in restaurants. This wild shot deer, or venison, it's hunted in the Otways, 60 kilometres from the restaurant. This oven here, this is a bread oven essentially. It's where we bake the bread each day. This oven's around 200 degrees at the moment. We tend to roast this in the oven, 8 minutes in, 8 minutes out, 8 minutes in, 8 minutes out. So just pulsing this high heat until we reach an internal temperature of about 39 degrees, at which time I'm going to rest the meat, and then we'll carve the meat off the bone and then finish it in the kitchen over charcoal and smoked with either quince or plum prunings from last season from the orchard, and it just gives a very nice sweet aroma which goes really well with the venison and particularly well with the vegetables that we're going to serve with it, which is some cooked overnight beetroots and a sauce of beetroot and a sweet sort of sauce of oloroso. So the process was to steam the beetroots, slice the beetroots, lay them out, dry the beetroots overnight, and these have been hydrated in a combination of beetroot juice and quite a sweet caramelized onion stock. We get this very unctuous sweet beetroot and onion glaze. Some of these will go into a meat sauce, a venison sauce, with a little bit of beetroot juice to give us our garnish for the venison. Just some black garlic, a little bit of soy milk, just blitzed together. Some marigold on the beetroots, very aromatic and spicy. Some cinnamon basil. That's it. That's the wild shot fallow deer. It's a sauce of beetroot and oloroso. Look, initially I started cooking in cities like most people, but over time, after working both in Australia and internationally in Spain, I honestly wondered why you would cook in the city if you had a chance to work much closer to where food is grown and produced and have connections to other like-minded people who have an interest in farming and growing food in a very sustainable and regenerative way. I think it's important as cooks and chefs and people working with food and restaurants and hospitality that we understand the way the environment works, and that we don't just always extract and just take from the environment, but if we have the opportunity that we give back and manage the environment in a way that allows us to improve the health of the lands that we work with, improve the health of the food that we serve, and obviously improve the health of the people that we work with and that we also accommodate at the table. We've had this dish on the menu for a little while. The name of this dish is based around what we call the half-time orange. In Australia, often in junior sport, we usually have this thing at half-time where someone's parent or one of the trainers will bring cut up pieces of orange for the children to eat, to get the energy back, to get some sugar back, to get some hydration essentially. The menu at Brae, it's quite a few plates, like it might be 14, 15, 16 different things to eat during the course of the menu. We wanted to bring this concept of hydration, of getting the sugar levels back for the guest. This particular version is the half-time choc orange. It's a layered dish. We serve it inside the orange, so it would be presented as if they were picking fruit from the orange tree. We start at the bottom with the carrot marmalade. It's been marinated overnight with some orange juice, some lemon zest and some lime zest. And to be honest, because we serve it in orange, everyone just assumes that this is orange. And then into here, we put a burnt orange and vanilla cream. I lived in Spain for 4 years and worked in Spain. For those familiar with the cuisine of Spain and different areas, the crema catalana, which is a burnt custard similar to a creme anglaise. It's based on those flavours, but the technique is quite different in the sense that rather than cook on a stove, we put this through the oven, we burn the top of the custard. It looks like a broken creme anglaise basically. And then with the help of a food processor, we blend it back together and make this fine cream. It has all the flavours of creme brulee or crema catalana inside the custard rather than burning the top. And then to finish, this is a red curry pumpkin and cocoa nib. We take the juice of the pumpkin and combine it with cocoa nib. It's quite bitter, add a little bit of sugar, and then we make a granita out of this thing. And again, because it's orange, a lot of the guests just assume it's orange. We have teams working in various places. We have kitchen, obviously. We have an agricultural team, head gardener, and a small team of 4 people working on the property. And we have some accommodation too. We have 6 guest suites available each night that the restaurant is open for people to enjoy. The guest suites have been designed like the rest of the business from an environmental point of view. Firstly, with sustainable materials and practices in mind. Building was constructed from recycled materials. It's a very simple palette of bricks, glass, steel and timber. It looks across the paddocks in front and agricultural land. It runs at net zero carbon emissions. It makes more energy than it uses through the solar energy that it's created for both the use in the accommodation and in the restaurant. This dish we're going to look at now it's a vegetable stew, so to speak. Zucchinis, onions, garlic, aromatic herbs, basil, chives, onions. We make a juice or a sauce of those flavours. Juice zucchini, get some water, gets a lot of aromatic things off the property. Lovage, fennel seed, different vinegars. Once we get those ingredients together, we steam them, infuse all the flavours into the zucchini. And then inside that, we have the zucchini, some potato. And I guess it's about bringing to a couple of mouthfuls the feeling of eating a big, hearty stew by giving it a touch of summer, by making it a little bit lighter. Into here is a combination of zucchini, flour and chive, a little bit of basil oil. We just give it a little bit of a touch here with a locally made cheese. It's a Tom style mountain cheese. It's made literally 5 kilometres down the road. This is an oil of roasted garlic and nettle. And in here we have a warm potato puree. I just lightened a little bit by infusing some nettle into it. Next to this we just serve a savoury biscuit made of pork blood and pistachio with some duck liver and some cocoa. And you can eat the two together. Look, I think when you work in any creative field, being influenced by your experiences but producing something which is true to you and true to your place and whatever perimeters you've set yourself, it's important for us to maintain a space of being independent, being individual, having a clear voice, having integrity around that. I feel like Brae has a very distinct voice. There's a lot of gesture of hospitality in the food that we serve. You know, some dishes might be very simple in terms of their appearance, and your enjoyment is hopefully, comforting. Not all dishes have to be aggressively surprising. Some can be surprising in their comfort or their depth of flavour or the way in which they invoke a memory or a time or an aroma of the Australian landscape or something like that. Cuisine or restaurant cooking at a certain level is interesting, that it requires an understanding of and a skill set to produce the flavours. Obviously here we're starting at zero because we're starting with ingredients grown on site, and they speak to the guests quite obviously of this place. Guests can leave the table and look and eat and see and consume, and they understand that the food is from here. Inspiration it's from life, isn't it? Dishes don't start with, let's make a dish of this thing. When you're working in this way, you're always working. Although it's important to relax and take time, you're always viewing things with an understanding that potentially at some stage this experience could end up on a plate.